boys and girls, and welcome back to Retro Racing for race 2 of season 2 here at the Blue Moon Bay. So first of all, let's have a look at those championship standings. Mandalorian leads the way with 16 points over RJ Cole in P2 with 15, and Mitch is sat there, the champion from season 1, with 14 points. Let's get straight into those qualifying results. So Steve F1 takes pole position, and AFC Guna takes P2, RJ Cole takes P3, and Mandalorian P4, Lex P5 and Mitch P6. GBM Oldman takes P7 and Tyrone takes P8. Sean takes P9 and Flapjack, new driver, in P10. Jules in P11 and Stephen in P12. And rounding out the back it's JC70. So it's time to start the race with James Shaw and Justin Dix. Right, so here we go then, Justin. The start of race 2 here at the Blue Moon Bay is about to get going. Steve F1 on pole position as the lights go out, and that's a brilliant start. I think AFC Guna in P2. Oh, it looks like Sean in the background in the green Jordan had a little bit of a tardy start, but yeah, AFC Guna going round the outside there, taking the lead of the race. Oh, RJ Cole slams into the side of Mandalorian. That is going to be a slam dunk penalty or drive through there, I'm pretty sure, as Mitch... Oh, there, RJ Cole's had a really tardy start after whacking at the side of Mandalorian, and then he slid off the circuit himself. I think one of the Sauber's just run off as well, and GBM Ullman seems to have got himself caught up in that one. But there is Jules currently sat in P7. He's got the Ferrari of Stephen up his inside. No, sorry, it's GBM Ullman up his inside, but there is AFC Guna leading the race now from Steve F1. Steve F1 still is within range to get a little bit of slipstream and re-overtake for the lead of the race as they head down towards turn 1, Justin. Fucking hell, the slipstream really powerful around here. Steve F1 trying to retake the lead of the race. Yes, he's in front, and yeah, right around the outside. Oh, slides sideways there, manages to catch it, but that could have been a disaster. Here we go to the replay. RJ Cole got either a -3 point penalty or a stop and go penalty of 6 seconds. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we will be seeing RJ Cole into the pit lane anytime soon to be serving that drive through, because you definitely don't want a penalty. But there we go. There is AFC. Oh, this is another replay. This is on board with the Williams. Oh, that was so close to disaster there. That was, yeah, that was a new driver in the Williams. I forgot his name. What's his name, James? The new Williams driver is Flapjack, and he's currently sat in P5, which is a very brilliant drive for somebody in the first race. But here we go. There is AFC Guna in P2. I think he is close enough to re-overtake Steve F1 down towards turn 1. And this is just going to be an absolute switch. Yeah, it's going to be a switch every single lap, I think, as Steve F1 gets a little bit of a nerf out there from AFC Guna. This could give Lex an opportunity here in P3, but yeah, every single lap I'm pretty sure there's going to be overtakes down towards turn 1 because the slipstream is just so massive. Where is yeah, there's Lex in P3, Mitch in P4. Oh, one of the Ferraris just looks like they went wide there in the background. Oh, this is a replay of Sean. Oh, Sean slam dunks into the side there of one of the Saubers. Let's just work out which Sauber that is. Not 100% sure, but yeah, it's caused an avoidable collision, and the stewards have seen a dim view on that, so he's either got a drive through or a -1 point penalty. So yeah, that is pretty much what the stewards have got to say about that one. But here we go. Oh, Mitch into the pit lane. This is an early stop here, Justin. Fucking hell, I think he's performing the undercut. No? What's he doing? What's he doing? He's just sat there. He hasn't got a penalty, has he? Not to my knowledge, Justin, but he's changing the tyre, so it's definitely not a stop and go, because if you're doing a stop and go penalty, you cannot be changing tyres. You've got to serve your stop and go, and then if you want to change tyres, you've got to go in again. So yeah, I do not know what Mitch were doing there. I think either he's got his regulations mixed up, or he thinks he's probably whacked somebody off the track, but nothing has popped up on the system to say that the stewards are looking into any investigation with Mitch. So that's a really strange one, and it's really put Mitch down the order. And if anything, I think he may be right near the back. But yeah, there is Steve F1, the race leader. AFC Guna still very close behind him, and I'm pretty sure these two are just going to absolutely keep swapping positions every single lap. And Yeah, who's going to come out on top, I do not know. But AFC Guna seems to be ever so slightly struggling with his slipstream. He does manage to get in front into turn 1, but I think he's running a touch more downforce than Steve F1 because he's only completing the overtake right in towards the apex of turn 1. But here we go, Lex is really closing in here in P3, Steve F1 in P2. There in the yellow Benetton. Oh, we'll get another replay here, Justin. Fucking hell, he's tied out up the inside of his teammate, JC. Running through turn 3, just nerfed his teammate off the track onto the grass. And yeah, JC was an innocent party there. The steward's taking a really dim view of Tyrone,'s driving today. He's really, they're not putting up with any shit today. And they've given him a -3-point penalty. So the penalties are really racking up here at the Blue Moon Bay. But here we go. There's AFC Guna leading the race for Lotus. Oh no, but here comes Steve F1, like you say. Steve F1 got so much more less downforce because he's able to easily complete the overtake before the braking zone at turn 1. But yeah, so here we go. Steve F1 leads the race. AFC Guna with a bit more downforce. This is where it kicks in right now. You can see he's managing to really hug and hang on to the back of Steve F1 in the Benetton. But and in the background there is Flapjack, the new Williams driver, coming under pressure for Mandalorian, who's overtaken Jules. And now, yeah, Mandalorian is really starting to recover after that first little bit of an impact with RJ Cool and the Benetton. Turn 1 on lap 1, so 5 minutes later, and he's getting himself. Oh, he's up the inside of Flapjack and braking, and there's a nice, easy, clean move there from Mandalorian in the penultimate corner. But back up at the front, here comes AFC Guna. So here we go then. Is he going to get the move done? I think he is. It's going to be very close, but here we go. AFC Guna brakes early, manages just about to get himself in front of Steve F1, but as he run wide, Steve F1 carrying speed, managing to hang on up the inside, but AFC Guna leaves room, but too much room in his run off the circuit. So that's AFC Guna just yeah, trying to leave room, but just turned him way too late, and that has absolutely compromised him. I think he might have a slight touch of damage, and he's down to P3 now as we're on board with Lex in the McLaren, running very, very closely behind Steve F1. There is AFC Guna. Can he try and regain his composure as Mandalorian and Jules have made their way past Flapjack in P6? But yeah, there is Lex. I think he's really the silent assassin here today at the Blue Moon Circuit. And he just needs to keep himself out of any shenanigans and keep his nose clean today. And he could very, very easily end up with a very, very good result here today. There's his teammate Mitch down in P9 trying to recover after that very, very strange pit stop that he did earlier. But Mitch, we were hearing from McLaren before the start of the race, Mitch is running very, very low downforce, so he should be gaining every single lap down that straight, but he's going to suffer during the infield section where there's some very, very tight, twisty corners. And yeah, there is Steve F1 and Lex still very, very close for the lead of the race. AFC Guna seems to have dropped back a fair touch here. I think AFC Guna's about 4 seconds behind Lex. There he is. And yeah, his teammate is really, really closing in, and Flapjack's managed to get himself back in front of Jules. Unfortunately, we've not seen it on camera, but there is Mitch. Mitch is still about 10 seconds behind the race lead, but here we go. There is Steve F1. Where is Lex? Is Lex close enough to make a move? No, I don't think he is. He's close, but he's just not close enough to make a move towards turn 1. Steve F1 really dancing the rear end of that car. I think Steve F1's gone for quite high front downforce, but it's very loose at the rear end, which tells me that he's running very skinny rear wing, even though you cannot physically see it on screen. I think in terms of his setup, he's running low downforce on the rear wing, high downforce on the front wing. I may be wrong, but they are the characteristics of the way that car is moving about. And Lex, it looks like he's got a very, very stable setup here, Justin. Well, fucking in, I've got to say, I think the best thing for the race is that you have a very stable setup like Lex, but he's right in the slipstream. I think if he can't make a move in towards turn 1, he's pretty much screwed. But here we go, he's close enough this time. He's up the inside of Steve F1, ever so slightly creeping in front. And AFC Gunner in the pit lane. This is first pit stop at 8 minutes 50. They're trying the undercut on these guys, trying to pull that gap back. And yeah, Steve F1 very, he has his car going to handle in a bit of dirty air. He's sitting now right behind Lex, but he definitely, I can tell just by that car, when he gets in a straight line, it's like a bullet. He's like flying. Not as flying as quick as Mitch, but he's definitely a very twitchy rear end, and he's really pouncing all over the back of Lex. But here you can see in the tight, twisty corners, Lex's car just seems a lot more stable, a lot more composed, and really trying to put on a charge here with Mandalorian back into P3 after AFC Gunner did his pit stop. So Mandalorian now set about 4 seconds behind Lex. There's Steve F1 into the pit lane. Mandalorian follows him in. Lex stays out, and AFC Gunner has performed the undercut. Where are Steve F1 going to pull out? Here we go. We're on board with AFC Gunner. There's Steve F1 coming out of the pit lane. So AFC Gunner brought himself back into the fight, but did not manage to perform the undercut. And Flapjack sitting in AFC Gunner's slipstream. Mandalorian pitted, and he's come out behind Flapjack. So this is all mixing itself up right now. Really, really crazy stuff. And we're just 10 minutes into the race, Jack. Indeed we are. So 30 minutes remaining of this race. There is Lex, your race leader. He is not pitted yet, and I expect him, if he pits, to come out around Steve F1, because he was very, very close. Mandalorian, after making his pit stop, he's made his way past Flapjack. Hopefully we're going to get a replay, because there's a few moves being made here that we're not seeing on screen. AFC Gunner pushing very hard, almost slammed into the barrier there. I think the race leader Lex is in the pit lane. Where is he going to feed out with Steve F1 and AFC Gunner heading down towards turn 1? We've gone for a replay, and here is Mandalorian's overtake on Flapjack on the inside. Flapjack leaves plenty of room. Here we go. So yeah, Lex come out of the pit lane in P3. So Steve F1 leads the race from AFC Gunner, who's managed to undercut Lex, but that has now put AFC Gunner on 2-lap older tyres compared to Lex, and this has really allowed Mandalorian to close in with a bit of slipstream. There's a replay of GBM Ullman managing to just about snatch himself in front of Mitch at the pit lane exit. Oh no! That is devastating for the Ferrari team, especially GBM Ullman. Looks like he's got a lot of front downforce, and the rear end just could not deal with what he was asking of them tyres. But here we go, we're back live now. Here is AFC Gunner, very close with Steve F1. He's running on the racing line. Steve F1 goes slightly defensive. Neither of them are getting slipstream, but under braking in towards turn 1. AFC Gunner takes it around the outside. What a lovely move there from AFC Gunner, Justin. Fucking hell, they took a lot of balls there from Steve F1, been pounced on by Lex, and yeah, Steve F1 lost 2 positions in 2 corners, but yeah, AFC Gunner got the balls of steel to try it around the outside. But here we go, Mandalorian trying to sniff on the back of Steve F1. That's not a pretty start at all. Here we go, Mandalorian trying it around the outside. Can this give him the inside to the next U-bend? Yes, it does. So there we go, Mandalorian up to P3. Steve F1 will not be impressed, losing 3 positions in 1 lap there for Steve F1. He needs to compose himself, re-attack, and recharge, and really, try and take the fight here to AFC Gunner. Here comes Lex in the McLaren, the front of McLaren, and Mitch is a few seconds behind. But here we go, Lex trying to overtake for the leader of the race. I think he's slightly in front now. AFC Gunner does not want to give up. Lex, around the outside. Another lovely move there from Lex. I think every single lap we're going to see positions change all the time. This is such a great circuit, really providing lots of action as Lex really trying to slow the rear end of the car up. But here we go, Mandalorian on the back of his teammate, Jack. Yeah, we're on board now with Mandalorian as AFC Gunner's really close behind Lex in P1. And yeah, Steve F1's also wanting to get back into this fight. So this is a 4-way battle for the lead of the race currently as we're heading towards the penultimate corner. AFC Gunner, as he had a bad exit. Mandalorian looked like he was trying to go up the inside. That may have put AFC Gunner off enough, and I think AFC Gunner is going to lose 2 positions here. Yes, Steve F1 up the inside as well. So here we go, Mandalorian up to P2. Lex out in the lead with a bit of a healthy gap, but here we go, there is AFC Gunner getting the slipstream off his teammate and managing to get himself back into P3. massive bump there as it runs through turn 1, kind of unsettle the car. And Steve F1's took advantage. Can Steve F1 get back up the inside? Oh, that's so close. AFC Gunner takes it round the outside, leaves space for the driver on the inside, and that is lovely driving there from AFC Gunner and Steve F1. Both drivers need to know into that corner, into turn 2. It's one of those, if you're going to go side by side, the driver on the racing line needs to leave a car's width up the inside, and the driver on the inside line needs to brake to make sure that they do not understeer wide. And that was absolutely textbook from both of them. But here we go, we're on board with Mandalorian in P2. I think he may be close enough here to try and take the lead of the race from Lex. They're coming up towards a back marker, and that's going to be depressing for them to get lapped at the 15-minute mark. But here we go, Mandalorian up the inside of Lex towards turn 1, and that looks to me like a very late overtake. So I think Mandalorian's running a hell of a lot of downforce. Lex coming back up the inside, Justin. Fucking hell, brilliant driving there. Oh, AFC Gunner just snatched in front of his teammate as well. So Mandalorian loses 2 positions there in 2 corners. Once again, so this is such a topsy-turvy race, this one. But there we go. Really close. Lex under pressure, locking up there. AFC Gunner runs wide and Mandalorian up his inside. But oh my god, this is so crazy, so mental. But AFC Gunner holds on to P2 for the time being. But oh my god, this is so crazy. But these guys need to make sure that they beat Mandalorian today. He's currently leading the championship after winning the first race. So these guys need to put on a charge. Steve F1 up the inside of Mandalorian, but he's not got the slipstream. Look at how powerful that stripstream. You know what's on my brain. I'm going to the strip club after this one. But there we go. Steve F1 on the outside, loose rear end, and AFC Gunner and Lex side by side for the lead of the race. Here we go, Jem, through turn 2. Lex turns in there as if to say, there's no way through, mate. There's no way through. But look at this 3-way battle for P2. AFC Gunner in P2 and Steve F1 on the back of Mandalorian. This is crazy, Jem. Indeed it is, Justin, but it can all turn on its head in one slight little error with these guys. If one guy makes an error, it could either be a drive-through stop and go, or it could be minus points. So yeah, a lot of the drivers have been saying they'd much prefer to do a drive-through, because at least they can then try and claw that time back with their driving skill and yeah, reduce the points. But I think for people like Mitch, sat in 5th place, he's currently now 5 seconds off Steve F1 in P4. So Mitch in P5, he's closing in on these guys. He's not in shot at the moment, but he's definitely really ramping up the pressure here as yeah, the back marker may be coming into play. Yeah, Lex is catching, I think it's one of the Saubers, pulling over off the racing line. That's nice to see. He doesn't have to run off the circuit though, he's running it onto the grass, but at least he's got well out of the way of this battle as AFC Gunner coming under a hell of a lot of pressure from his teammate. So here we go, we're on board now with Mandalorian running through the second U-bend, trying to get the rear end of that car pivoted to try and get on the acceleration before we get down towards the penultimate corner here. And, yeah, there is Mitch, currently sat 5 seconds behind it. Steve F1 is about 8 seconds off the race leaders. Mandalorian, Mandalorian faking a little bit of a cheeky move there, trying to put Steve F1 off, I think, and trying to shit him up, or try and force Steve F1 into an incorrect pit stop. But yeah, Steve F1's not falling for that one. He's not that stupid. But here we go, AFC Gunner up the inside. No, he backs out of it. That's smart. And Steve F1's got up the inside of Mandalorian. So Mandalorian loses out that position there to Steve F1. Steve F1 pounced like a panther there, like a tiger. Yeah, well, maybe that's going to be his nickname here for retro racing, the Tiger King, or is that Flavio? I'm not too sure.
Now, the only thing that Flavio is king of is the burgers. But here we go.
So here we go, running through the second U-bend. Steve F1 slightly out of control and manages just about with the skill of his right foot to apply the pressure in just the right way. But here we go, this AFC Gunner, is he close enough to Lex? I think he is. and he's running a touch of downforce, but not too much downforce. I think he may have a cheeky move in towards turn 1. Here we go, on the braking, not even too much braking, very loosely. Then it's Lex still holds on to the position around the outside. This is brilliant, Jack, as they head towards turn 2. Can Lex, oh no, there's been a collision. Oh, Lex turns in, AFC Gunner turns in. Oh, that is disaster written all over it. It's been so clean up until then, but that is crazy. And here comes Steve F1 to take the lead of the race, the Tiger King. There he goes up the inside. Oh, that is devastating. As we said earlier, that is one of them corners where you've both got to give room if you're going to go side by side through that corner in turn 2. AFC Gunner back up the inside of Steve F1 though, takes the lead of the race back, and Mitch, this has really brought him into this battle. Mandalorian up the inside of Steve F1, but it's backfired, and Lex has managed to take that position away from Mandalorian. So yeah, it's all kicking off right now, but I think the stewards are going to look into that, because oh, here we go, the stewards notice lap 20 incident, both AFC Gunner and Lex at fault, so both at fault, the stewards are saying, and let's just hopefully they're going to show us as to why. But I think Lex, even though he's on the racing line, turns into the apex, leaves a little bit of room, but not enough, and AFC Gunner still goes in there with too much speed. So I don't know. Yeah, there we go. The stewards have noted that AFC Gunner gets a minus 3-point penalty for forcing Lex off track, and Lex gets a minus 1-point penalty for not leaving room at the apex. And there you can see, yeah, Lex turns in for the apex, does not leave a car's width. I think, yeah, unfortunately that's devastating for both of them. They can both do either a drive-through to negate, a stop and go to negate those minus points. But look at who we're on board with. This is Mitch on board, heading in towards the pit lane. He's caught up to this leading pack, and there he is in the pit lane. He's changing his tyres. Just to let you know, AFC Gunner pitted on the previous lap for new tyres, so AFC Gunner has took the lead of the race. Flapjack sat there in P2. He's only pitted once, but he's right up in P2 currently, and these guys have all come out of the pit lane on brand new tyres. So here we go, there is AFC Gunner. Can he try and make a break for it? But he does have that minus 3-point penalty hanging over his head, but he can still win the race. But yeah, there is Steve F1 in P2, sat behind Flapjack. He needs to try and make his way through past Flapjack as clean and as quick as possible, because right now he's going to be losing time to AFC Gunner, who he does not get his foot down and get going. And Lex and Mandalorian are clawing all over each other, trying to hunt down the Tiger King. There is Steve F1. Back in here, this is so crazy. So here we go, Steve F1 passing Flapjack, and Flapjack going for the pit lane right now. So yeah, he's in the pit lane. Here comes Lex in P. He's up the inside of Steve F1. So Lex manages to pounce right away, but Steve F1 not giving up around the outside. So that's a lovely bit of driving there from Steve F1 in the Benetton. They've got to really all try and work together, even though they're fighting each other, and try and hunt down AC Gunner, because he has, that undercut has worked a treat. But Steve F1 run wide, and there comes Lex on the back. Oh, Lex up the inside towards the first U-bend. No, Steve F1 leaves room on the inside, but this could give him the inside for the second U-bend. But here we go, under braking. Where is Lex? That's brilliant driving there from Steve F1. But everybody queuing up, every man and his dog, really queuing up his Mandalorian up the inside. Now he's backed out of it, and Mitch sat there in P5, and then make that P4. He's managed to get himself in front. But here we go. Look at that. There, the McLaren goes like a bullet in the straight line. Mitch definitely running hardly any downforce. Expect him to be all over the back of Steve F1 in towards turn 1. And there he is, Lex up to P2 now. Indeed, so AFC Gunner still has that minus 3-point penalty hanging over him. Lex has got a minus 1-point penalty hanging over him. Are they going to perform a stop and go penalty and try and fight their way back in towards this battle, as Steve F1 and Mandalorian are rubbing tyres there as they head down towards the first U-bend, but Steve F1 gets himself in front. I think AFC Gunner, if he pits, that'd be a 6-second stop and go, and if Lex pits, it's a 3-second stop and go. So I think Lex could possibly still come out behind Mandalorian, still hunting down as Stephen in P6 in the Ferrari. Still, he's not too far away from this battle either. So you can just see him in the very, very background there with Flapjack. But yeah, this race win is very much up in the air. I think it's between about 6 drivers who's going to win this one, and there is Flapjack on the back of Stephen in the Ferrari. So the Williams taking on the Ferrari. This is a nice thing to see. The Williams up near the sharp end of the grid, and Flapjack in his first race is really, really impressing here today. We're looking back. There is Mandalorian in P4 trying to look down Mitch in. Oh, where has Steve F1 gone? Where on earth has Steve F1 gone? He was in this battle. Oh, here we go. We've got a replay. There is Steve F1. He's turned in and slammed into the wall. Slammed into the wall at turn 4, and that is devastating. That's probably done a hell of a lot of damage to the front end, and that will take a fair while to clean himself up. But he's up to P9, but that is devastating. He's probably about 12 seconds behind the race lead, so that's definitely took him out of contention for this race win. But here we go, Mitch Mandalorian very, very close for P3, trying to look down Lex in P2, and AFC Guna still managed to hang on to that decent race lead gap over Lex in P2. He's got a couple of seconds in his pocket. Lex coming under pressure now from his teammate. We're on board with Mitch in P3. I'm pretty sure that Mitch about 10 minutes ago would have been absolutely loving any chance of being able to fight for the win. But here we go, look at that straight line speed that Mitch has got. He's like an absolute bullet. He's all over his teammate, and expect him to fly past him as they head down towards turn 1. And we're at the 25-minute mark, 15 minutes left to go of this race. And there we go, look at Mitch there, like an absolute bullet. He's gone past, and I think Mandalorian's going to follow him. Yeah, he is. So Mandalorian up to P3, Mitch up to P2 as they head through turn 1. Oh, Mandalorian up the inside of Mitch. So Mandalorian absolutely mugged Mitch there. Gets himself up into P2, and Mitch has been mugged by Lex as well. So I think Mitch was trying to really make a break for it there, and it's really backfired. These two with downforce. Lex and Mandalorian have really just pounced on him through the fast cornering section. I think Stephen's run wide there, and Flapjack's up to P5, so that's devastating for Stephen. Oh, there is Sean. He's had a drive-through, and he's in P7. He's fighting back now in P7 in that Jordan. But here we go. Look at that. Look at the acceleration in a straight line. And Mitch is just absolutely clawing all over the back of his teammate. AFC Guna still has a healthy gap over his teammate Mandalorian. And here comes Lex, but I'm pretty sure that Mitch is the one with the quickest car in a straight line, so expect him to be fighting his teammate Lex on the run down towards turn 1. He's not close enough this time, but Lex is very, very close to the back of Mandalorian here, Justin. Fucking in, but this is crazy. I mean, these guys with the penalties, they're going to be either thinking, you know what, screw the penalties, I'm still going to try and win the race. This is definitely on the cards, and Lex all over the back of Mandalorian. Mandalorian goes defensive towards the first U-bend as they turn through, and Mandalorian hangs on to the apex, runs wide where he needs to run wide, and here we go through the second U-bend. Lex really, really got to think about the, you know, he could really use Mitch right now. Could sit behind him and let Mitch pull him towards Mandalorian. And AFC Gunner still got a nice healthy gap there of about a second and a half over Mandalorian. But here comes Lex now. Oh, he's clawing in on the back of Mandalorian. Can he try and make a move here? On down towards Mandalorian. No, Mandalorian goes defensive towards turn 1. Can Lex take it around the outside onto the marbles? Here we go. Can he do this? Oh, this would be brilliant if he can. Now he's on the racing line. Mandalorian on the inside. Here we go. Turn 2. Oh, Lex runs wide. Run wide onto the grass. Oh no, and here comes Mitch. Both McLarens tripping up over each other the way I'm tripping up over my words. I can't get them out. English is my second language. You know, give me a break, guys. You know what I'm saying? But there is Lex. Oh, he's running wide. These two McLarens really. Oh, somebody needs to make team orders here and say which one's the quickest and which one's going to get on with the job, because here we go. Mitch up the inside. Now he backs out of it. Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy driving. Ron Dennis must be pulling the last few hairs out of his head, because this race win is going out of, it's going down the creek of Cheetah right now. And
AFC Gunner will be laughing with these guys fighting over each other, but he won't be laughing when Mandalorian catches him up in P2. But here we go. There is AFC Gunner. Oh, AFC Gunner had a slow run through turn 1. And the Mandalorian really starting to close in now on his teammate for the race win. Here we go. So we've only got 11 minutes 30 seconds left of the race remaining. And there is AFC Gunner. He's really starting to struggle now. He was the first of the guys to pit. And them tyres look to be slightly trying to go over the edges. Here we go with Sean on the back of Steven. In towards the first U-bend, and I can't believe it. The Jordan really appalling the pressure on the Ferrari, and yeah, here we go. AFC Gunner has got his teammate all over the back of him, and Mitch is all over the back of. Here we go. AFC Gunner in the pit lane. Lex being overtaken there by his teammate, and oh my God, who's going to win this? I don't know. Who the hell is going to win this race? God only knows. Lex is in P2, and where is AFC Gunner's come out of the pit lane, back in P4. There he is. He's still within touching distance of these guys. So these guys need to really put a charge on, and I think they're going to have to pit at the end of this lap to try and cover off any move from AFC Gunner. Lex locks up there on his front right tyre, the unloaded tyre, and there is AFC Gunner running through the same corner. Look how close AFC Gunner is on this undercut. It's going to be massive on these guys. They're going to pit as he's right behind them, and Mitch manages to get himself in front of Lex. Oh, Lex hits the wall. Them tyres definitely going on their McLarens, but here we go. There is AFC Gunner. There is Lex. Oh, Mitch and Lex going for the pit lane, both at the same time. Luckily, they got two pit boxes, but Mandalorian carries on, trying to stretch these tyres out. One more lap in the Flapjack in the pit lane as well, but the McLarens exit the pit lane, and Mitch is in front of his teammate. And there is the race leader. He's only a couple of seconds in front of his teammate. His teammate's going to the end. Mandalorian, I think he will have to pit at the end of this lap, but he needs to make sure he doesn't lose enough time. But there is AFC Gunner. Oh, look at the AFC Gunner. Absolutely blistering lap time of a 1:56.7. That is absolutely crazy. One of the fastest laps of this circuit, but it's all there. You can see he's definitely going to be leading this race by an absolute country margin.
Right, so here we go then. So Mandalorian is the last of these front runners to pit, as I think that may have been Steve F1 off to the side, either Steve F1 or RJ Cole being lapped there, as Mandalorian, the race leader, is in the pit lane, is the last of the front runners to pit, as there goes Mitch on his fight towards AFC Gunner. And I think he's going to come out, Mandalorian's just come out in front of Lex, so Lex has really lost out there. Can Lex try and fight on the back of Mandalorian straight away? He's on the racing line. Mandalorian leaves the car's width as he turns in for turn 2. Mandalorian needs to get his head down and get on with this if he wants to try and win this. AFC Gunner is looking in the best possible position to win this race. He still has that penalty hanging over his head. He's not served a stop and go, but he can still win this race, and the points will be taken from his previous result. But yeah, AFC Gunner is still in position to win this race. Lex in P4, there is Flapjack in P5, Sean in the Jordan in P6. Really impressive, both Sean and Flapjack. And there is Tyrone on his fight back on the inside of Jules. And yeah, unfortunately, he's also still got that -3 point penalty hanging over his head. There is Stephen in the Ferrari, and there is RJ Cole, and he's running in front of Steve F1. And they've been lapped, unfortunately. But there we go, AFC Gunner, Mitch and Mandalorian. So AFC Gunner still got a decent gap, and Mandalorian is closing in now on Mitch, and this is the battle for P2. And AFC Gunner is just a few seconds up the road for the race win. But here we go, Mandalorian all over the back of Mitch. Really closing in through these slow corners. You can definitely see the downforce working in these slow corners. Slight twitch there from Mandalorian, but that will not deter him from trying to push Mitch into annihilation. Mitch really pushing that McLaren as hard as it can go, but this is the point of the circuit where Mitch can just sit back and relax, because that McLaren is a bullet in a straight line. Even if Mandalorian gets up and alongside, he's going to be a tough one to try and really make this position, but he's going for it. He's having a look up the inside. No, Mitch has got enough grip. Well, he's got enough straight line speed just about to hang on to the position, and that just shows you the differences in the setup. It's really massive around this circuit, and here's the downforce section, and there you can see Mitch struggling and Mandalorian really capitalising. This is the point where Mandalorian needs to pounce, but I think even if Mandalorian gets himself in front of Mitch, Mitch is just going to breeze his way through with a bit of slipstream. But there he's run wide, and this is Mandalorian really pressuring the back of Mitch, and Lex right now, he needs to get himself back into this fight, because he's starting to drop off these guys, and Mitch, his previous lap was a 1:56. This is a replay. Who was this on board of? I think this is one of the Ferraris. I think that maybe Stephen. Oh, and he's just been nudged there by Tyrone, and the stewards have given him another minus 3-point penalty for forcing a competitor off track there, slammed him into the wall. Then Stephen had no grip, just slams off track, and that's devastating. Tyrone just needed to leave a little touch more room, and unfortunately he gave him absolutely none, slapped him into the wall, and by that point, unfortunately, Stephen had absolutely no grip in that Ferrari, so that's 2 minus 3-point penalties for Tyrone. The steward's been very harsh today, but they're absolutely cutting out any bullshit. But here we go, there is AFC Guna still leading the race from Mitch. Mandalorian in P3 and Lex sat in P4. Oh, Mandalorian run wide there, but yeah, Lex is just starting ever so slowly to not being able to hang on to these guys. These guys are really pushing, but Mitch slapped into the wall there. Mandalorian goes straight through. Mitch may have a touch of damage there as he really slapped into the wall. So it's currently a Lotus 1-2 with only 5 minutes left of this race to go. We're heading into lap 37. This is an absolutely crazy race. AFC Guna taking an unusually wide line there, and this has allowed Mandalorian to really close up on him. Mandalorian, his teammate, up the inside towards turn 2. AFC Guna turns in, but he runs wide again, and Mandalorian takes the lead of the race. AFC Guna will be kicking himself every single time he leaves room. He leaves too much room, and he runs onto the grass. But here we go, Mitch up the inside of Mandalorian. Mandalorian run wide as well. Mandalorian really struggling here. AFC Guna back up the inside of his teammate, and Mitch leads the race. He'll be laughing in that crash helmet. He will be absolutely cacking himself, thinking there's no way on earth I could have got myself into the lead of the race. Lex pushes his way through past AFC Guna side by side in towards the penultimate corner, and Lex up the inside of, I cannot believe this, Lex up the inside of Mandalorian as well. So there we go. I think Mitch is going to be on for the win here. He's absolutely blitzed it down, and he's got a decent gap over his teammate. Mandalorian back in on the back of his teammate. Here we go, Justin, up the inside. What's going to happen here, Justin? Oh, fucking hell, pass me the microphone. I'll tell you. Here we go, Lex around the outside. Oh, there's brilliant stuff there from Lex, managing to hold it around the outside. Mandalorian, I thought he could have had that one, but now Lex just turned in there saying no chance, nowhere through. But here we go, through turn 4. Oh, Mandalorian pushing very hard indeed on the back of Lex, but Mitch, this is the part of the circuit where Mitch is really struggling, and these guys can really close in, but Mitch needs to have a gap over the straight in order for these guys not to be fighting them. But here we go, Lex on the inside, Mandalorian on the outside, but Mandalorian going for the switchback here on the inside. Oh, Mandalorian up to P2 towards the penultimate corner, and Lex, he will be devastating, letting Mandalorian through. But who can get the slipstream off Mitch? We know that Mandalorian has not got enough straight line speed, but he's off the racing. Look at the slipstream there. Lex blitzing past Mandalorian on the run down towards turn 2. AFC Guna up the inside as well. Mandalorian down to P4. So, this could really mix things up in the championship. Definitely, this is crazy. But here we go. AFC Guna on the inside. Can he hang on to it? Yes, he can. But he's left the door wide open with Mandalorian and his teammate. They're side by side. Oh, Mandalorian back in front of his teammate. So this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy, Jack. Right, so here we go. The two McLarens are fighting it out for the race win with only, I think it's about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left remaining before the last lap of the race. But here we go. There is Mitch running in P1. Lex, his tyres are looking a little bit second hand there. As you can see, the rear end is absolutely struggling for traction. And Mandalorian, luckily for him, I think he's within slipstream range of Lex in P2, but Lex is very close behind Mitch. Mitch has absolutely got himself in the best position to try and win the race, though, because that straight line setup he's got on that McLaren is an absolute bullet. And there you can see Lex cannot even get close enough to make a move in towards turn 1, but this could allow, this is the section where Lex and Mandalorian are at their quickest through this very fast, high speed section at the beginning of the lap. And here we go. Oh, Lex run wide there. This could give Mandalorian an opportunity all over each other's rear wing. And oh, Lex up the inside of Mitch, absolutely out of nowhere. I don't think he was going for the move, but I think he was forced there to try something. Mitch trying it round the outside, trying to hang on to the race lead. Lex, I think he may have just pushed them tyres a touch too far as Mandalorian's been shoved onto the curb there, and Lex is all over the back of his teammate. I think Lex is definitely going to try and make a break for it now. This is 1 minute left to go, so I think we may have another 3 laps remaining. Lex goes up the inside of his teammate Mitch on the run down towards turn 1. Lex on the brakes early. Can Mitch take it around the outside? I don't think he will be able to, because he doesn't have the high speed wing. But no, he's back up the inside. No, Lex turns in. Lex leads the race. Mandalorian in P3, AFC Guna still in P4. This is absolutely bonkers. Mitch runs slightly wide. Mandalorian goes through into P2. But you never know with Mitch, with that straight line setup. You do not know when. Oh, AFC Guna up the inside of Mitch as well. This is just kicking off everywhere. This is the point where the guys are really starting to lose their heads. They're just starting to think, you know what, we're coming up to the end of the race. I'm going to try something. Luckily, there's been no banging and slapping so far. Mandalorian up the inside leads the race with, I think there's going to be another lap remaining. Yeah, sorry, I thought it was going to be 3 laps. It's going to be 2. So here we go. Oh, everybody's getting in on this one. Mitch pushes his teammate Lex down the road to try and get himself in front of Mandalorian's head down towards turn 1. They've just gone over the 40-minute mark, so this is the last lap of the race. I think the guys behind they've all finished, so everybody from P5, Mr. Sean, oh, Mandalorian up the inside, manages to hang on to the leader of the race, but everybody from P5 has already finished their race. The only guys still on the racing lead lap are these 4 guys, so who is going to win the race? Mandalorian looks set to win this one, and that'll be 2 races on the bounce in his pocket, so he will be loving this one. I think Lex and AFC Guna are going to be fighting it out for P3. So for the final step of the podium, we're on board with Mitch. I think he might ever so slightly. He's had a really good run out of the final corner there. I think he might just get in the slipstream here, Justin. Ah, fucking hell, here we go. Is he close enough? Get in the slipstream. Let's head towards the line. Mandalorian. Oh, moves out of the way. Here comes Mitch. Up the inside. Mitch takes the lead of the race on the line. Yeah, what a win there for Mitch. Absolutely out of nowhere. Ah, fucking hell, I can't believe how crazy that race was, Jane. That was crazy. And what a race it was, with Mitch snatching there right at the very end the race win from Mandalorian in P2. So Mitch takes 16 points. Lex manages to get himself on the podium, but he's still got that -1 point penalty, but I'm pretty sure he will not care about that. What a fantastic drive for himself, and Mandalorian will be gutted almost to have won that race, but Mitch absolutely snatched it from him right at the very end. So let's have a look now at them championship standings and what has that done to them.
Right, so I'll just read through the penalties that have been applied. AFC Guna received -3, Lex received -1, and Tyrone received -6. All of the drivers that received penalties, they performed stop-and-go drive-throughs. Only 1 point separates Mandalorian and Mitch for the lead.
Right, so make sure you come back next week for round 3 at the Red Bull Ring. That is, I'm not kidding, this championship is absolutely wide open. Anybody can win this one. Mandalorian strong, and Mitch is even stronger than last season. So all I can say is thank you very, very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please share with your friends, and we will see you all again next week for round 3. Thanks a lot for watching, and goodbye.